to welcome you back to another episode of Between Us and Y'all. I'm Yasmin.
I'm Nafis.
And this is Between Us and Y'all, a podcast created for mothers and their young adult sons to have healthy conversations. We also welcome young adults of any type to come. So we have some young ladies that join us as well. But we want to thank you again for joining us today. We have some guests that we're going to introduce shortly. But before we do, we like to make sure that we advertise for a local business. Today, our guest is actually going to be sharing the local business. And if you can share what that business is.
Okay. Hi, my name is Keitra Bates, and I'm the founder of Marty's Shared Kitchen and Marketplace. Marty's is a licensed shared kitchen facility, and it helps cooks from our community reach an audience beyond just us. Just between us, yes.
I love that.
But it just creates a broader network so that people can discover what we already know is delicious and wonderful and culturally relevant to us. So we definitely invite your guests to find us and find out about us and our vendors at martys.com, which is MARDDYS. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and so I know you offered a little information about yourself, young man. Can you tell us who you are and a little bit about yourself?
All right, my name is Baraan. I'm 15, junior at the Life School. The Life School, it's a
Self-directed,
small high school. Actually doubles through the years.
Yes.
It's been proven.
It's definitely growing.
And yeah.
Cool. All right. Anything else you want to share, Keitra, about yourself before we go into our episode?
I'm really happy that you invited us because a lot of times I'm constantly talking about my business, but like this is the part of my life that really inspires me. So, just thank you.
Cool. All right. And I want to thank you both for being here as well. I think we've known you for maybe 5, 6, maybe 7?
Maybe more. Yeah, it's been a minute.
7 years. Yeah, because I know Baraan was real small when I met him before. And
yeah.
The other little people weren't even here yet when I first met you.
No.
Yep. So I want to thank you both for being here.
Yeah, I think we have 2 more since.
Yep, I remember. And I want to make sure our listeners that were listening, when she introduced herself, she talked about owning a shared kitchen. For our listeners that know me, they know that I'm a baker, and I've been baking for years. And one of the things that I really appreciate about what Keitra did was she offered an option for people like me who are trying to, sell our products to the community, but had this hurdle facing with. So anyone facing that hurdle can go out and use Marty's Kitchen and not have that hurdle anymore. So we want to thank you for offering that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so today.
And then your food is delicious.
Thank you. Thank you. And so today we're going to be talking about the topic of navigating and utilizing resources. We're going to focus specifically on understanding city resources, how they work, and understanding the skills within your network. We had another episode where we talked about identifying what your network is. And so this one is going to be a little bit different, where we're understanding how to utilize the skills within your network. And so I'm grateful to have Keitra and her family here to talk about this topic, because if anyone knows her, she's always connecting people and making sure that they are a part of a network. And she'll ask you, okay, what do you do? And then, oh, I know a person who does that, And so Keitra is a big person for networking. So that's one of the things, a reason why I wanted this family, to share their insight on that. And like I said on any episode, I think moms can talk about any topic, really. So it doesn't really matter what topic I would have chosen, Keitra, because we have to raise our children and share different topics with them all the time, So I just wanted to make sure I put that in there. Okay. All right. So we start with a standard question for all of our guests. Whenever we have guests on, we start with a standard question about a family motto. And so our family motto is to work hard, pray hard, love hard, and play hard. That's what we try to do with everything that we do and every aspect of our lives. Do you all have a family motto? And if so, what is it?
So when we're going over, what will we talk about? So do we have a family motto? And it's kind of one of those things where you know what your grandmother said, and she's like, that's grandma saying. Something that's constantly being said here is, whose job is it? Like, whose job is it? And sometimes it's kind of sarcastic. You can't hide that. But sometimes it's also, it's a question so that they can ask themselves, like today, we had them folding up clothes and everything didn't leave. I'm like, I want you to take all these clothes and all these bags and fold them up, because for what people don't know is we are a family of 7. Wow. That's a lot of laundry, if you were imagining. It's a lot of laundry. And so everyone in our house has a job, or, we definitely are about collaboration very much in this house. So we try to make sure that most of their jobs are, interlinked with someone else in this house. And so when I say whose job is it, it's not to say, is that your job? But it's more like, if you don't do it, then you're leaving the job for someone else to have to do.
Yeah. Okay. I like that motto, and we can definitely.
I don't know if he likes that motto. Is it good for you?
Yeah. What do you think?
It works.
It's important to check in, because sometimes we might have a model and some people in the house are not necessarily feeling it. So I'm glad that you checked in with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can relate to.
Yeah, sometimes we ask, how are we doing as parents? Like.
Yep, that's the whole thing. That's important about this podcast, is sometimes we might not even know that, our children are having an issue with something we have going on, or, we might have an issue with something they have going on.
Right.
Or how to talk about it. So that's one
right.
reason why this podcast exists. And we wanted to make sure we show some prayers and support for you for that laundry, because laundry is a week for all of us.
Yes.
We have just 2 people in our house, and laundry is a constant thing. So I can't imagine 7 people. So
yeah,
we're praying for you. All right, so we're talking about city resources. Have you all begun a discussion about city resources in your family? And if so, what does that conversation look like?
So this has been like homework. Like, do we use city resources? But yes, we do, in terms of them. And what really pertains to him is the dual enrollment option that the city offers. And that's something we wanted to absolutely share with your listeners, if they have high school age students or anyone that's going, that hasn't quite made it through high school. He's going to college for as long as he's in high school. That's
that is so cool.
Look, he's excited about it.
Yay, Baraan.
I think the rules are, you have to be a junior, but there are some grade requirements. You do have to get your school to submit your transcript. So there are research. What is it called? Is it Georgia?
Georgia, what, you mean like the school?
No, I know your school, Brian.
Okay.
No, the name of the website where you go to find, it's Georgia something. Just look at it. Google's our friend. Google, and you'll find, dual enrollment for high school students in Georgia. And it's absolutely, for anyone that's going to invest in a college education, it's absolutely worth considering for your student to give them a taste of college now and have the state pay for it. And I mean, really, you pay for it, so go ahead and get it for free, because literally you could knock out 2 years of college and be a junior by the time you're, technically going to college where you have to pay. So it absolutely reduces the burden, the financial burden, if you don't have a scholarship, if you don't want to take out, the most horrendous school, the loans. Nobody wants their child to have that. Not moving forward, not now. Yes. We don't want, so we're not promoting that kind of day. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Baraan, did you want to add anything to that? Are you good with your mom's answer?
Well, I looked up just to see, because I was a little curious, right? Just to see how much we'd be saving if I actually just gone to college straight from high school without dual enrollment. And from what I've seen, like a semester at the school I'm going to, it's 1,183. Multiply that by 2, and like that's how much money
you're saving a year.
Mhm.
You're saving a year because you're going to pay for that. So he's going to go to Atlanta Metro.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's going to go to Atlanta Metro and take your basic classes that you could take anywhere. English 101. If you're going to be a gamer, if you were going to design video games, which is something he's very interested in, who cares where you took English 101?
Right.
Your mother does. Your mother cares because your mother wants it for free. That's who cares. So it's, in that respect, it's awesome. And I'm really glad that, he's aware of the numbers and the math, because when you start thinking about being independent, now it's something you can work with. Oh, okay, I'm saving $2,000 that I could buy a car before there are no more cars that people can drive because they're all flying cars. But that's another topic.
We totally support flying cars. And if you design it, I'll drive it, Baraan. All right. Were you done or with that, Baraan, or did you have something else you wanted to add?
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Nafis.
With our next question, common family discussions regarding city resources may come up as it relates to bills and a household utility usage. What city resources are a common discussion topic in your family, and why are they important?
Yeah, I know we talked about dual enrollment, but as far as city resources as it relates to bills and household utilities, are there any specifics we'll discuss, like solid waste or trash or anything like that?
Do you want to take that one, since you're the one who deals with our trash and solid waste?
Trash. That's usually split between me and my younger brother, and it's usually not that big a deal so far. Like,
but why? Yes, why is trash not a big deal at this house?
Because
do we have more trash or more what?
Recycling.
More recycling is happening at our house. We really don't have that much trash. We really have, we need 2 or 3 bins for the recycling here. I know part of your question was asking about dealing with the bills. We've definitely had times where he's sat down, especially now that everybody's home. We've had time to sit down. I encourage everyone to do this. Give your children your bills. This is not something to hide from them. You absolutely, they need the life skill. Give them the bills and give them a way to pay it. If you pay it, you mail it off, your child needs to learn how to write that check. If you use your card, your child needs to know how to do that now. Now, not when they leave, not when they get roommates. They need to know how to do it now. And what I'm hoping, I don't know, but we'll see when he has to pay his own bills, what he thinks, that it'll make our children more aware of the resources that we utilize, and they're less inclined to, just leave lights on or just leave water running, because they can see the differences, from month to month. That's my hope.
Oh, I really like that. How does that feel for you, Baraan? Do you feel empowered when you're looking at the bill, or does it feel a little bit like stressful, or are you nervous when you're given the responsibility to have to pay the bill?
It definitely makes me a lot more aware. Like usually, I guess before they showed me like the bills and all that, I really wasn't thinking about like the lights, the water, or any of that stuff. But after that, I've been managing, I guess, a lot more of the energy consumption that I use. And
you hear this?
I like that.
And you have buzzwords? He's been managing his energy consumption. You have a publicist? What is that?
Wow. know, take
Do I need to hire him?
like that. That's good though. I mean, that's a testament to your parenting, you know, because he's paying attention and he knows what he should be doing. So I appreciate that. You know, and for our listeners, our young men, you should know that there are some young men who are managing their energy consumption, you know, and
Yes.
so thanks to Baraan for pointing that out. And I wanted to touch on another conversation we have on another episode about navigating into adulthood, you know, and this idea of understanding bills. It relates to what you were just talking about now and how Nafis and I have approached this topic. And it was interesting because we approached it when it came to the city exploiting certain neighborhoods when it came to bills, and how we noticed that, you know, in our neighborhood, we might have had more electricity usage, you know, than another neighborhood did. And we weren't really using our electricity, you know. And so we started to notice that there was a difference, you know, in different areas on how the city was charged, you know, for the electricity. Or we noticed that the trash pickup wasn't as fast as it might be in, you know, a certain part of Atlanta. Trash would sit out on the street for a couple of days, you know.
Right.
You know? So with that, it helps me to be able to start conversations with Nafis to be able to say, when you see that, what do you do as a resident in the city? Are you contacting your city, and who do you contact? You know,
right?
Solid waste department to make a complaint about the fact that your trash hasn't been picked up. You know, but oftentimes a lot of our young men and people in general, adults, don't know who to contact because they've never thought of it.
Right.
So they're just left with frustration and sitting there with trash in their yard. You know, so
it's leading by example.
Yeah, exactly. I like your example though with the paying the bills thing, because I never really even thought about letting him go through the process of taking my card and paying the bill, you know, because pretty much everything I pay is online right now, and I just go click and pay, but he could do the clicking and paying too.
So I think a lot of times our community in particular, we don't have the greatest relationship with money. You know, we are not necessarily honest with ourselves or our children about money. And, you know, trying to explain your bills to your children, it's a moment where you have to like be honest. Yeah. And if you don't have the money, you know, what do you say? Are you gonna, you know, like borrow it from here, borrow it from there? And I'm not saying take your 6-year-old and start weighing them down with the pressure of life. I'm not saying that. Right. Yeah, but I'm definitely saying that if you have a teenagers want all kinds of things. They want so many things. And they have to have the exposure, which I feel like is what you're talking about. Like they need the opportunity to say, all right, well, right now, this is how much money is coming into this house. These are the resources that we have. How can we generate resources in another way? I'm asking for this thing. Is it really a priority? And these conversations don't happen if you're just taking, you know, like, what's on your list? What's on your list of what you want? Because after you parents, who's going to ask them what's on the list? Yeah. No one. No one. You know, and I don't want to go long on this, but I feel like this is the touchdown. I'm not going to include some parts. I'm just going to tell you now. We had a point in our relationship a few years ago, probably, was it 3 years ago, 4 years ago? I was really hurt. I was really hurt because I was like, how do you know if someone loves you? And this helped me understand his love language, which I got to juggle a lot of people's languages. I'm like, oh, so all right. But with him, I'm like, how do you know? And I was shocked at his response because he brought up someone else, number one. I'm like, but me, pick me. I love you. And he was like, I know that my grandmother loves me because she buys me stuff. As a parent, as a mother of a son, as your firstborn, like, I'm just waiting on you, Yasmin, to cut your eyes at the feast and just be like, if you ever. I'm gonna hold my hands like this as I recall the story.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yes, because I was so, like, I cannot believe that my son that I, made a solar cooker with to prove to you that if you saw it on Curious George, he was like, I want to make a solar cooker. And somebody else is like, you can't believe everything you see on TV. And I'm like, yo, you want to make a solar cooker? Run it. We're going to do that. Anything. I'm like, do anything. I introduced you to gaming. But that's another story. It wasn't. It was me. It was me. Are you kidding me? It was me. Oh, please. We might have to go to the black screen so we can get his memory back. But no, seriously, the idea of what happens in your house being, continued outside of your house when your children mature and leave you, I'm like, do not set them up for disappointment. And if you set it up at home where all they are the receivers, they're the ones who come up with the list and they have expectations and people giving them stuff. I'm like, as you get older, you're going to have to earn that attention. You're going to have to earn, the reason why people want to make you happy. And I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do, but, when you start talking about you want apartments and cars and whatever else you might possibly like, I'm not paying for that. Who's going to pay for that?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because we were having a conversation about, again, this navigating into adulthood thing. And I always try to tell Nafis, the time that he has now to receive and to have someone paying your bills should be looked at as practice, because one day you will have to figure out how to do those things on your own, so understanding how it works while you're getting the practice in is very important because one day there won't be magical money, that keeps the lights on.
No.
Things like that. So
if you have roommates, there's not going to be, that roommate that's going to want to, clean up the toast that you, the crumbs like that. No.
Yeah.
No one wants it. So no.
There you go. He's getting a little practice now because he lives on campus, in college. He's learning, sometimes his room is not the best because of the roommates, but,
yeah,
it is what it is. So,
I've been that roommate.
So how have you been teaching Baraan and your children how to be advocates as it relates to using their voices for things that matter in the community that have an impact on their city resources? For example, if you're having an issue with your trash being picked up and what do you do about that? How do you teach them to be advocates, for making sure their voices are heard in the city?
I think we've not really had issues for us to, give them the experience with things like that. But we absolutely have had city policy issues that we cared about. For example, when they were talking about raising all of the houses in Summerhill because, they were in the flood line. Like, this lady's house has never been flooded. Do you remember that a couple of years ago when the students from Quilombo and I think some kids from his school were able to go and participate, in a news conference? Those kinds of things, whenever we can, like, we're very much wanting them to see that your presence matters. So I don't know. I haven't had many complaints, but definitely opportunities where they can go and participate in some civic exercise of their rights and their opinions is something that I hope when they get older, it will be a part of them.
How about you, Baraan? How has that experience been for you? As far as your mom's lessons on the topic?
It's so interesting, like I didn't really, like before, I didn't really know too much about like the whole situation until like I had actually gotten a little older and they explained it to me. But before I didn't really think that like presence, I guess, made too much of a difference until, I actually went out and did it myself, I guess.
Mm.
I'm like, oh.
That matters. What about you? How has the process been for you with our conversations about you being an advocate and knowing how to use your voice in the community? Make sure your voice is heard.
I mean, I think. Wait, ask that one more time.
How has it felt for you as far as our process is concerned, for the lessons you've learned in our home about how to use your voice to be an advocate in the city as far as resources is concerned? Like, it has maybe, it doesn't have to be about trash. It could be about the fact that they're building Family Dollars up every 15 miles, on Cascade Road.
I definitely think, I think one of the lessons that I learned from you is always being like observant and like seeing what's happening around your community. Because like you said, definitely like there's like certain businesses that are being more popular than others that are constantly being built. So definitely taking just to think of what's going on, and if why it's happening, and also expressing to the community or to your city that, hey, you might not like this, or just want to understand, or I guess get a sense of it too.
Yeah, we try to have conversations. My background is a little different because my undergrad is in architecture and my master's is in planning. So my conversations with him is a little different than some other parents might be. So I'm always, we're having conversations about an NPU or neighborhood planning unit and who to talk to, if you have an issue with something. And what I've learned is oftentimes with those neighborhood conversations, a lot of our community members are not showing up. But we have complaints about the results. If they decide to tear down our local, basketball court, or there's a coffee shop that comes up in town that is owned by someone who's totally new to the community or doesn't live there, we are complaining, but we haven't been a part of the conversation, along the line that when they're asking, what type of businesses is this community looking for, doing demographic surveys, and the census comes in to do whatever they do, we're not necessarily giving our voices back.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to make sure that he knows that if you don't speak up, you don't know, you don't have a voice, and what happens in your community, you're left out, so we try to make sure we have those conversations often and make sure he pays attention to what businesses are available in your neighborhood so he can understand, where did this come from? Why is there a check cashing place, a wings place, and a nail shop and a Walmart? Why is that always repetitive? And there's a reason for that when it comes to neighborhood planning. So I try to make sure that he starts, looking at that.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely, like demographic studies.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think because of recent developments, I think I'm hopeful anyway, that we're going to see more civic involvement, because, a lot of the MPUs have had to broadcast, through Zoom. And if you're going to make it available to people in their homes so that they can attend these meetings, like there's no way that you can say, well, you absolutely are required to show up to 3 of these meetings in person. That's kind of difficult for somebody like me who, when you have your meeting at 7:00, that's when I'm trying to make sure dinner is done. Things are, that's difficult. It might be better for me if you had it on a Saturday, but if you had it as a Zoom meeting, now I can show up. Now my children can attend the meeting and we can watch it during dinner. So I think that's the kind of thing that I'm expecting, honestly, moving forward, is that we will have better options for engagement.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And now Keitra and I were having a conversation, before about one of the reasons why I wanted her as a guest for this particular topic. And our guests listeners that are listening might remember when Keitra was advocating for people to buy their homes in our neighborhood and to buy up the homes in our neighborhood, because gentrification is real, and the impact of gentrification means someone's going to be displaced. Somebody's family is going to be broken up. So I appreciate you for doing that and encouraging families, to become homeowners,
right?
And become invested in their neighborhoods, so hopefully our listeners, wherever you live, you are invested and,
Well, thank you. I kind of felt like, I really appreciate that. Because during that time, I felt like I was, you know, trying to tell everybody, like, the sky is falling. They're like, not right now. I don't want to live there. It's not going to be whatever. And now look, now look. And I'm very much not interested in the, I should have lived. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't. I do not. You want to talk about, you want to come buy up a block? Let's talk. Don't tell me how I should have listened to you. I already know that. I knew that then.
I appreciate that. And I've learned, you know, being a homeowner myself, you know, the benefits of owning your home and the difference in your voice in the community being a homeowner versus a renter.
Yes.
I appreciate that. You ready?
But the next question is, have you all begun a discussion about what skills exist within your family's network?
Yes. Yes, we definitely have. Do you want to take that one?
Sure. Okay, so I have like just a little story, right? So when I was building this game, it was a little passion project of mine, I guess.
A little passion project.
And
before you continue, I just want our listeners to know he's wearing an Atari shirt, which is super classic. We want to big you up for that.
Yeah, sit up so they can see it. Yes.
That was my classic game system when I was younger. So
I didn't actually plan that. I just chose it out.
that's just your life. It's just the life of a gamer. So we appreciate that you.
That's his life.
We like you.
All right.
So thank you. Sorry for interrupting you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I was making this game, and I needed a little asset from, you know, anybody anyway. Like I wanted to, like, in the background of the stage, I wanted like fireworks, and I couldn't find any anywhere, and so I asked my dad, and he made it for me, and I didn't actually know that he could do that until I asked him.
How old are you?
I was 10.
10.
Wow.
So just for me, who got you into design? Please.
You.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You can't
You know,
over-
give me my flowers now, right now. That's right. When he was 9 years old,
that mama's name.
you know, when you were 9, that's when you started designing games. Oh, excuse me, he was 8. When he was 8, he started designing games because why?
Because you.
Yes, because I told you what?
And I couldn't play them anymore.
I said you couldn't play them unless you what?
Made them.
That's right. I told him he could not play games
That's a good idea.
unless he made games. If you want to play these games, make these games. Make the games. Because my plan is, I'm not, can we curse? We can't curse? We can't curse. Okay, we won't curse.
It's fine if you want to curse.
I won't curse. I can edit myself. It's cool. If you're going to play these games, you're going to make these games, and we're going to sell these games later.
See?
This is my plan. I'm like, oh, you want to do some stuff? You want to consume something? Go ahead. Enjoy it. Have a great time. And you're going to make it, and then we're going to sell it. Yeah.
I love that. And that's very similar to a conversation I've had with my son, because he knows how to code and all that stuff. And I was just telling him it's very important to be on the other side of the thing when it comes to gaming. You know, everybody's loving to play games and all that kind of stuff, but if you learn how to build them, it's completely different. You're on the side of the coin. So do you have anything you want to add to that as far as your family's, you know, the network? The discussions we've had or anything?
Kind of the same, all along the lines of what was Baraan was saying. Because I'm a painter and also a drawer, and so I was trying to find a way of how to shade a different figure that I was trying to do, and I went to my mom about it. She showed me different drawings that she's done, and I was like, well, she's never told me that she used to, you know, really draw the way that, you know, just draw in general. So it kind of, so that in terms of like doing more art, I would sometimes go to her about, you know, different lighting or different shades and different things like that.
Yeah, the thing is, oftentimes in our families, we forget that our families are real people. We made up of real people, and sometimes when we're thinking about a network, we're thinking
Right.
people outside of our homes, you know. And so sometimes, you know, our children don't think that we have skills, and they're thinking like, "Well, there's no way my dad knows how to build fireworks. Like, what in the world?" And then you find out your dad can do it, you know. So it's important for us to check with our families first when we're talking about resources and networks, you know,
right,
out of our homes. All right. So how does your family approach the topic of utilizing the skills in your network? I know that you talked about your dad and, you know, you taught him about gaming, but, you know, when you identify those people and, you know, what their skills are, what is the conversation like about actually using those people's resources, the network?
I would say right now, a lot of the skill utilization is kind of guided. So, for example, he attends a school. The children are all there, and they have money to buy stuff. Not a lot of stuff, but they have open campus lunch. And you know, there have been times where I'm like, look, I have these cakes or I have these pies, and you're gonna sell them at school. And Baraan sometimes can be pretty shy or quiet, you know, and he's more like, he has lots of opinions and lots of things to say, but he's not necessarily like the first one to speak up. And I feel like you shouldn't hear me say this, but I'll let you in on it. It's not for whatever the money it is that he's going to make selling like 10 pies, whatever. You know, it's a good experience for him, but more so it's putting him in a position, or him putting himself, that's better. Him putting himself in a position where he is engaging with others so that he can get comfortable with, you know, being someone that has something that other people value. It is absolutely an exercise in his I don't know, his mental state, his way of being, the way he feels about himself. Like, I'm really hoping that these moments help him remember, like, hey, I know how to do that. This is not scary. Some people will say yes, some people will say no, but somebody said yes, and I came home with this as a result of my effort. This is really what I care about.
Love that. What was that like for you, Baraan, with the process of having to sell your mom's cakes or whatever the product was?
I started off very, very nervous. I didn't really want to do it at all. Like, I'm pretty sure when I started, I didn't even like have the basket like open to display it.
Yes.
Like, it was shut, and I was just like walking around, and I was like, so my plan was, I was just gonna go to like the people who I knew were like really hungry at the time, and I was just gonna like, hey, I have this food here. You want it? But
like Lenny on Good Times. I'm gonna age myself. You remember that dude who's like, hey, I'm Lenny. Like, that was Baraan with a basket of delicious pies and no words.
And my mom said, no, you're gonna open the basket, and we're gonna make sure that everybody knows that you have food to sell. And I did. And pretty much everybody who wasn't in class
found out about the delicious things in Baraan's basket.
Oh. I think I made decent money.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like to add as a small footnote, do you get to keep all that decent money?
No.
What? You don't get to keep all the money? Why?
Because I didn't make the product.
Oh, you didn't make the product. So then you have to do what with this money?
Give it to you.
How much of it?
I don't know, most of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But Jorge, why? Because that's business. Until you make it yourself, until you get in control of your supply chain, you didn't actually earn all that money. And so some people might be like, oh, why are you taking the money from your baby? Because the baby didn't make this money. The baby didn't make the pie, the baby didn't make the cake, and the baby doesn't get all the money. No, that's no.
Life lessons. This is so real. And I'm laughing. I know that you've noticed me looking over at Nafis, because as a baker, I have definitely tried the same thing with him, and
yes,
not successful at all. With me saying, on campus you could be selling pies, you could be selling, cakes, brownies, whatever, and it's easy money because people are always hungry, and
yes,
young adults love to eat sweets. So
yes.
I hope you take the example from Baraan to see that it can work. And
so I like to offer Nafis this understanding of entrepreneurship. Well, let me just ask: Are you planning on? Are you an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I'm planning to become an entrepreneur.
Okay, so if you ask me, who are the kids that are going to make it as entrepreneurs in high school? If I just had like, I don't know, 20 minutes. I don't even need 20 minutes. If I had 2 minutes in a classroom with random kids in a random, city school, I'm going to find out who's the kid who sells candy. That's it. That's who I'd invest in, because that's my entrepreneur. Because they already understand the supply and demand. They already are willing to take risks because they're not supposed to be doing it. And, like they understand their clientele, because they could sell butterscotch candy, but they're going to make more. They sell Takis. They understand. So when you look at children, young adults in college who have like a full canteen in their room, they're doing exactly what Uber Eats is doing. They're making it convenient. No one wants to leave. They want it right there. They can go and knock on your door. Oh, Nafis has, gluten-free, whatever. Oh, Nafis has whatever. Like it literally is you connecting with your customer base, developing a relationship with them, getting their feedback one-on-one, and hopefully paying for your tuition or something like that. Buying your mother a very nice gift.
Yep.
Card.
You received that? Did you receive her advice?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take our last question.
Our last question is there any advice that you would like to give on the topics that we discussed, or anything that we haven't touched on?
Nothing specifically, but definitely I would encourage any parents listening to take advantage of every absolute opportunity to connect with your children. Mm-hmm. And it might seem like having dinner together is not a big deal, or it's such an effort to get everybody to come to the table at once. It's a big deal because it is a big deal. If you're saying, hey, I want to connect with you, here's an opportunity, for us to, at our house, we go around the table and we ask like, hey, what are you happy and grateful for? We don't talk about the news. We don't complain about presidents. We don't do any of that. It's a moment to check in with each other, and sometimes be annoyed at eating sounds, but whatever. It's really important. You want to say something? Some last words?
Any advice? And think about our listeners. We got young men who have been listening to you. Maybe they're budding gamers or
yeah,
things like that.
Do you want to connect with some gamers? Some people who he doesn't know. Why not?
Okay.
Oh, so since he's not going to say it, I'll say it for him. If anyone listening has a young person that is a gamer, someone who likes to write, what do you call the story? Or is it just a story?
Just a story.
Who likes to write stories? I personally really want to see more collaboration from young people in our community creating anime that looks like them. I want to see some more brown anime faces. I really do. And Please. Please. We want to see more of that.
I like that. How about you? Any advice you'd like to offer that we haven't touched on?
Just stay focused on what you got going on. Definitely, like Ron, like you said, definitely if that's, you know, you want to make video games, definitely take the courage to make them. Definitely be confident in your work, and also always put your best foot forward.
Yeah. And I would say, you know, with this topic, we were talking about city resources. I would make sure that everyone is aware of city resources are available in your city, and make sure that you're taking advantage of them. Because oftentimes there's a list of city resources that whoever, you know, whatever committee within the city, you know, planning department has come up with, and people are not using them. And so they end up being, you know, taken out of the list because they're not being used or replaced with something else, you know. So I would say make sure that you're aware of what is being offered, what's available, and start taking advantage of it, you know, because if you live in a city and that stuff is there for you, it's resources that you should have access to. So I would definitely do that. And we want to thank you all for being here. This has been an excellent conversation. I'm grateful to see Baraan, you're growing, your hair looks great. You guys, your hair looks great. I've heard great things about the Life School. I have a couple of friends that have their children there. So we want to thank the Life School and that community as well for educating our children and, you know, creating entrepreneurs and great thinkers and offering a space where our children can grow in a comfortable environment. Just like we mentioned Quilombo as well. We always want to support that school for doing.
Yay, Quilombo.
Absolutely. We both have Quilombo alumni.
Yeah.
Nafisa and Baraan. So we want to thank them as well. And this has been another episode of Between Us and Y'all. We want to thank you all for being here, Baraan and Keitra.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. As we part, we always encourage our guests to work hard, to pray hard, love hard, and definitely spend some time together playing hard.
Thank you guys for being here.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
All right.